Well, hello there. How are you going today? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me. My name's Campbell, and this is Autodidactic, which of course means to be self-educated. That's what we do here. We check out some strange videos from the realm and we make up our own mind about what's going on. Because if we know anything, it's that they want us to believe their narrative. But there's always at least three perspectives we can get on a topic, right? And unless we have three or more perspectives, we're being told something, right? We're being led down the garden path. So let's jump in and have a look at what's going on in the strange realm.
Here's an ancient map that shows 13 moons in 28 days, 1457. Oh yeah, it also shows griffins and dragons and all kinds of craziness and every biblical city name you can imagine. I find old maps and I dive into them and I do research, and this is really interesting. So, been doing a lot with calendars lately, and if you'll check right up here on this map, there's 13. So we'll go ahead and count it real quick. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for the 13 moons. Makes complete sense to me. And then you go on this side over here, and we have 28. I'm not going to count that and bore you, but 28's right there. You can pause and count it if you'd like, which leads up to 364. Add 1 for 365 for a complete year. And not only that, we can also show you this place has, there's Magog right here, and then you got Gog right there and the little people hanging out, comparative to the storks. So I don't know if storks were giant or the people were smaller, but there's a crazy picture. There's stories about that. I didn't know it was Gog though. And then here's your griffin right here. Never saw a griffin looking like that. Pretty wild looking. First time I've seen a griffin that way. Comment, let me know what you think of that. Also, hit me in the comments if you want a link to this map. I'll shoot it over to you. And then let me show you the dragon real quick. There's so much craziness on this map. It's just wild. There's so much on here. Check this out. Let's flip it over. And I leave you with this. Here's our dragon. So those two creatures were there, and everything else was like a elephant here, camel, giraffe, but you just have a dragon hanging out there. So were dragons real or mythical? You tell me. I think they were real. I think griffins were real too. But things have changed now, so love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this. And until next time.
Cool map, hey. I'm going to have to get a copy of that one. It looks like it might have been Hyperborea. All the maps I've got that show Hyperborea up in the north show the pygmies and the storks. And there's stories, if you look for it, the Pygmy War, where they had a war against the storks. And there's also, a lot of people think that that's where the stork delivering the baby came from, right? Because people were seeing storks carrying these little people around. Interesting, but the calendar, right? 13 months or moonths of 28 days, right? It makes perfect sense. That's the natural cycle. Obviously, women run off that cycle. So does all of nature. And there are 13 moons, right? In a year. There's not 12 and 28 days. And there's so much, so much has been messed up with calendars and time. Obviously we've got the whole, December means 10, but it's the 12th month. September is 9, October is 8. That, it's all been mixed up and jumbled up just basically to keep us in confusion, right? So that we don't know where we are and we don't know when we are. And most of us don't know who we are. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think that it's supposed to be a 13-month calendar? Because one thing that, and I've asked a lot of astrologers this is, how does astrology work, right? If you're running off 12 months, but there's actually 13, and there is a 13th sun sign, star sign called Ophiuchus, the man wrestling the serpent. And I was actually out on the weekend and someone had like an app and you could put your birth date in and it told you what star sign you would be on the 13-month map. map calendar, which I found interesting. I'm still a Leo. I didn't change, but a lot of people change, right? Their star sign. So that would mean that all these readings and things and horoscope are wrong. But let me know what you think. Are you are you into astrology and all this kind of stuff? And what are your thoughts on that? I'd like to know.
All of our lives, we were told that our heart pumps our blood and that it is merely a pump. But what if I told you some of the most brilliant men to walk the earth had a different idea about what the heart is and what it actually does? This is your heart unfurled, by the way, unraveled. Wait until you hear this. Rudolf Steiner, who created Waldorf schools, which are all over the world, and also popularized massively biodynamic farming, said that for human beings to make true progress, they need to understand that the heart is not a pump. Now you may be thinking, even if it is not a pump, what it really is change? Like, what's the big idea? Listen to this. Now, Rudolf Steiner believed that the heart is a seven-sided regular form that sits in an imaginary box in the chest. A seven-sided regular form means a three-dimensional form, yet the regular part means the surface areas are all identical. Now, a scientist named Frank Chester designed an object that is a seven-sided regular form. All the sides have the same surface area. And he found that it fits in a box on an angle of 36 degrees, which is the same degrees that our heart sits in our chest. This object was named a chestahedron. When you take a chestahedron and spin it in water, it creates a double helix vortex in the water. And when you unravel a heart, it is actually one singular muscle that is a spiral. Now, we know the three phases of water: liquid, gas, and solid. But according to Gerald Pollack, there is a fourth phase of water, which is a semi-gel-like state, which has a ton of negative ions, which repels positive ions, and it's some form of energy. This new phase of water is called the fourth phase, and it has very different properties than regular water, or as they call it, bulk water. Now, what this means is, or what it would mean, is that your heart doesn't pump blood, it vortexes it. And with the negative ions, it charges it. According to Rudolf Steiner, this will run indefinitely as long as your heart remains charged. And how it remains charged are negative ions, which we get from bare feet on the ground and other, healthy things. Waterfalls, moving water releases a ton of negative ions, healthy food, grounding. Isn't it interesting that billions of people every single day are wearing rubber-soled shoes, which cuts off their body from direct contact with the earth, which is where you exchange the most negative ions? I'm sure that's not a conspiracy to disconnect us and lower our heart's negative ions and shorten our lifespans. But furthermore, we know from Masaru Emoto that because our bodies are 70% water, your thoughts, I should have named that as what gives your body negative ions too, are positive thoughts. Your body's 70% water. Look what happens when you say thank you to water and freeze it. You get this perfect sacred geometry. When you say the word evil to water, it distorts. Prayer, look at that. Wow. This is the water in your freaking body. You got to admit, these guys are smarty pantses for thinking, well, let's try twisting, mounting it to something that spins and see what this thing does in water. It makes a double helix. Absolutely shocking. This would mean our heart is not a pump, but a vortex torsion energy field generator. We also know that our heart emanates a massive electromagnetic field around our bodies that extends, technically forever, but especially within 10 to 15 feet of a loved one. Your auric fields interact and you actually release oxytocin and the love and bonding hormones in your brain. So pretty freaking cool. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow for more.
Yeah, pretty cool. I've said it before, right? Our energy field precedes us. And like you just said, when you get in 15 feet of people, they feel your intention. And of course, intention, water in the body. Dr. Amuro Emoto in his water crystals showing that intention goes into water. But the heart, Did you know that it's basically it's a tube, it's one tube. It's actually, yeah, like you said, it's twisted when you've just got to make a few cuts in the right places and it just unrolls into this tube, which is very interesting. And the heart-shaped box, right? And maybe Nirvana knew what they were talking about, but creating a vortex. I mean, it kind of makes perfect sense to me because everything is frequency, right? At movement, right? Energy at movement, right? Emotion, right? Energy in motion. And if you look into the work of people like Victor Schauberger, he shows that creating vortexes in water purifies it, right? And energizes it. gives it the life back, basically. He was bringing dead rivers back to life just by creating vortexes in them. And vortexes, are everywhere. Of course, vortex math, Marco wrote, and that's very interesting. And he said that the heart sits at an angle of 36 degrees. That's what I was thinking. 3 6. Where's the nine? Is that the 3 6 9? But quite a bit in there. But ultimately, I think, my takeaway anyway is this body is not just a lump of cells, right? That's just made to pump blood around in and take in oxygen and give off CO2 and all this kind of stuff that they tell us, right? Just physical. It's an energy machine that we don't quite understand how it works yet, but I think it's the vehicle, right? The avatar that basically turns frequency into matter that we can interact with into the outside solid world. But let me know what you think.
I know a lot of people might not know what a BOE is, so it's a bill of exchange. Can you just explain what that might be for those who don't really understand? Because I find that, writing letters back and forth and nothing really happening is a really big issue. So you bringing that up is really important. So can you clarify?
Okay. Back in 1966 in Australia, they removed the pound sterling. The pound sterling was a silver currency, a silver-based backed currency, or silver or gold bank currency. The moment they removed that, all we have left is to discharge debt, not pay debt. We can't pay debt. No one can pay debt in this country. It's impossible. You can't even pay debt in America, Canada, any other Commonwealth country, basically. The whole economy is based on bills of exchange and promissory notes. To give you an example what a promissory note is, every note in your pocket, every coin in your pocket is a promissory note. It's not real currency. There's no security behind it. They made it up. It's like a check. You're back in the old days, you wrote a check out and you handed it to the biller, whoever billed you, you give them the check as payment. That's a form of currency. That's the only currency this country actually has. And that check, the receiver would then go to the bank and bank it, right? So it's credited to their account. But then that check is in the holder of the bank. The bank then goes to the other bank who printed that check for you, and they go to the other bank and say, well, there's $200 marked on this check. We need you to give us that $200 so our customer's bank account is balanced. That's what they call a promissory note. That's what they call bills of exchange. It's an IOU, and we're handing to each other IOUs. That's as simple as it gets. There is no money. You can't pay. When they say to you, you have to pay this, well, how the hell can you pay anything? There's no cash to pay. What you're doing is you're using a bill of exchange or a promissory note. You're promising to discharge, and that comes from your SESQV trust, because every bill is your trust account name. It's not you. It's linked to your SESQV trust. So if you're paying out of your pocket for something that is addressed to your capital name, your surname specifically, your surname, then you're shortchanging yourself. You shouldn't be paying it out of your pocket because it's already been drawn by the biller. It's already drawn that money from the SESQV trust and is on hold until you, the beneficiary of that trust, puts a signature on that bill. And when you return that bill, now they can go in and balance the account, because that's all it is. It's balancing in the account. There is no cash changing hands. Like when you take out a mortgage. There's no cash changing hands. It's promissory. An IOU goes from one to the next. And you're the creditor. If you're the creditor of that money, you're lending yourself your own money and you're paying interest on it. The bank's just a broker. They don't use money. There's no money. It's all notes.
Well, there you go. Bills of exchange, right? There is no money. It's all promissory notes. Interesting. Obviously I've heard about all this, I think we all know, right? Fiat money is non-backed money. It's not worth anything. we just agree that it's a system of trade. And what's happening is when you're putting out these promissory notes to pay, that money is coming from your trust, your Sescovy trust, which is created when you're born, right? Which is the whole birth certificate, maritime law, all this kind of stuff. So very interesting. And that was Be Free with Dee. She's pretty good. Got a lot of good videos if you're in Australia about law. But people have been using these bills of exchange, basically creating their own, just making up, creating their own check basically, and using it to pay government debts like, fines or council rates or whatever it might be. And I've definitely seen people be successful with that. So that's, something to look into if you've got, fines or you just don't want to pay the government their rates or whatever it is, bills of exchange. But of course, do your research, right? This is not law or legal advice. And this is all alleged, right? YouTube. And, you've got to make your mind up about all of this kind of stuff, guys. Don't believe everything you hear on these videos or from me, right? This is all about being self-educated, autodidactic, right? You've got to get as many points of view as you can on a topic, get the information, and then come to your own conclusions. But definitely worth looking into bills of exchange.
When in court, the proof that the judge has fiduciary involvement in the case is the fact that the charge has been created into a bond.
I'm just going to stop it there quickly. Fiduciary basically means someone who's acting on your behalf and in your best interests. That's what the judge is supposed to be doing.
Now, the bond is supposed to be presented to you for discharge or settlement. The fact that you haven't received the bond, right, means that they're keeping the fucking money. So if you don't have the bond for the case for you to show up, then they're making a private gain off of it. That's a private gain from a public office, colluding, conspiring, identity theft, violation of fiduciary duties, breach of
trust. I think he was going to say. Yeah, and he's correct. Most judges, well, all judges, they get paid. They get paid on your court case when you go to court. So that means that they are no longer impartial, which makes it illegal for them to sit as a judge. If they're getting any monetary gain at all from it, they're impartial and they can't sit and judge you, right? Even though it says in the Bible, don't judge, and they all make you swear on the Bible before they judge you. Crazy. But that's a good tactic as well, is to ask the judge, Judge, are you gaining any financial benefit from this proceeding today? And most of the time they'll just walk out of the court because they are, and they can't admit it because then it puts them in a place of acting out of contempt, basically, contempt of court, and they can get fined. Not that I think the system ever would, but it leaves you grounds to sue them personally if you wanted to. But the main thing is it will get them up and out of the court. So it's a good way to start a proceeding when you go to court. Ask them if they're getting any financial gains from the proceedings. And as soon as they answer yes, they are no longer impartial and they are unfit to sit over that court proceeding. But again, guys, this is not legal information. But again, this is not legal information. Do your own research all the time, right? Make your own decisions, come to your own conclusions.
The elite do not worship Satan. They worship consciousness, and they've been trying to keep you unconscious so you don't realize you have the same power that they do. Secret societies, occult knowledge, hidden teachings, you have symbols everywhere, rituals that look demonic. Most people think this is about worshiping evil, but that's really just the cover story. It's about understanding reality as consciousness-based, not material-based. The elite knows something that the masses don't. They know that consciousness creates reality. They know that symbols carry frequency. They know that intention shapes outcomes. They know that energy follows attention. And they've been using this knowledge for centuries to maintain power while keeping everyone else in the dark. This is why they push materialism so hard. This is why science dismisses anything that's metaphysical. And this is why religion was weaponized to make you worship external gods instead of recognizing the divine within yourself. Because the moment you realize you are consciousness having a human experience, you become ungovernable. The real conspiracy is not control, it's consciousness suppression. Keep people afraid, keep them distracted, keep them believing that they're powerless meat suits in a random universe. Keep them working, consuming, obeying. Keep them so busy surviving that they never have time to even question reality. Meanwhile, the people at the top are using things like manifestation, energy work, frequency manipulation, ritual magic, all the things they taught you were fake. They're not hiding in the shadows because they're evil. They're hiding because if you knew what they knew, their power would disappear. You have the same abilities that they do. Telepathy, intuition, manifestation, energy healing, reality creation through focused, intentional consciousness. These are not supernatural powers. They're natural human capabilities that got suppressed through education, religion, and cultural conditioning. They don't have power that you don't have. They just know how to use it. And they've spent centuries making sure that you never learn.
Well, what do you think about that one? I think he was right about a few things. They do understand symbology and the power of symbols and energy and all this kind of stuff. But he mentioned intention. Have an issue with that one. I don't think you can create anything good for yourself with evil intentions, right? That's an oxymoron. And I've heard this theory before that that they're just using all the rules of the universe, right? The laws, and that's why they're getting ahead. But so much has come out over the last few years. We know what they're doing. We know about the trafficking. We know about the sacrifices. We know about the blood, drinking and infusion and the lying and the deceiving and the treating us as less and calling us goyim and useless eaters and controlling us. That's not a good intention. And with all that stuff, you cannot create something good. So, I think to begin with, this is all mystery school information, right? This is all occulted information, and occulted just means hidden, guys. It's got nothing to do with cult, just means hidden. It's hidden, information that they kept for themselves. And definitely I think they were using it, but over time they seem to have degraded, right? And the mystery schools have been taken over, and bits of that knowledge are still used, right? Like they understand the symbology, they understand, that they are energy and all this kind of stuff, but they definitely are not working with intention, in my opinion. But again, that's just my opinion. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe what that guy said, or you can, right? You've got to come to your own conclusions. But yeah, I kind of disagree with most of what he said about them, using all this high energy, good vibration kind of stuff to get where they are, to get, wealth and to create these great lives, because they don't. One, they don't have good intentions for us. Two, you just got to look at them, right, and look at the lives of most of them end up pretty ragged, right? From drugs and sex and drinking and all this, and they're all controlled. All these people that we see, the celebrities, the entities they want us to celebrate, they're completely controlled. We've seen it. They step out of line and they lose everything, right? They get destroyed. So this is not people using the laws of the universe to make their lives better, because you can't do that. This is the big point, that I want to make, I guess, is that, he was saying they're using all this to keep us down. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all, because being in flow with the universe, the universe is only about creation, right? And love, which we heard from the other video, right? It's about high vibration. It's about loving vibration and accepting and helping and service to others, right? These people are just service to self, the Lites. So they can't create a wonderful world while trying to keep us down. But again, I don't think they create that much of a wonderful world, right? The people at the very top have just got into a position where they've introduced debt-based economies and they now own half the world, so they control everything. Doesn't mean they're happy. And definitely most of the celebrities we see, they don't live happy lives, right? We've seen it. They all just, implode in the end, right? It's crazy. I mean, look at Britney Spears and people like this. They are completely controlled and they are not creating their ultimate life. But let me know your thoughts on that. What do you think about what he said?
They told us the moon was just a rock, a lifeless sphere floating in space, perfectly still. But here's the strange thing. It doesn't rotate. We only ever see one side. That's not normal, but they say it is. Locked rotation, they call it. Still, doesn't it seem odd? The planets rotate, the stars move, even the sun shifts, but not the moon. It just sits there, one face, always watching. Some say ancient people remembered a time before the moon and didn't trust when it arrived. And when it showed up, everything changed. It became the ruler of the night. But no one ever voted for that. Some say it's hollow, that it rang like a bell when struck, that it's not reflecting light, it's transmitting.
An eye in the sky, a silent influence, pulling tides, altering rhythms, maybe even broadcasting something deeper.
Maybe it's not just a moon. Maybe it's tech, a broadcast tower. Whatever it is, it's not what we were told. And once you see it differently, you'll never look up the same way again.
The moon, the moon, the moon. What do you think the moon is? They tell us it rang like a bell when they sent a rocket into it, and we had all these stories back in the day. There's stories of it. It's a spaceship, obviously. It looks like the Death Star, right, from Star Wars, with the big crater there. What do you think it is? It's very strange. It doesn't move. There definitely are stories of the world before the moon, and there's lots of legends of the moon being brought in, right? You can find those just in if you do a bit of a dig. But what do you think it is? Do you think it is physical? Do you think it's a rock? Do you think it's a physical entity? I tend to think it's not. I think it's a reflection of some kind or an image, basically because you can see stars through it, right? When you have a half moon, you can see right through it, right? So it's clearly not a solid orb. And another interesting thing about the moon is the light it gives off. It's actually cold light. So if you get, a temperature reader, you go out on a full moon and you take the temperature in the moonlight and then go in under a tree in the shade and take the temperature again, it'll be warmer in the shade. So it gives off a cold light and the sun gives off a hot light, right? We have, the moon comes out at evening. It's feminine. The sun is masculine, right? Sun worship, the son of God, right? All this kind of stuff. So, it seems when we look at it that way, it seems like it should have always been part of this system, but we really don't know what's going on here and what this realm is supposed to be. I mean, even the sun is crazy now. Two suns. Is there two suns? I don't know. But let me know, what do you think the moon is? Like, what's your best guess? Because it's definitely an anomaly.
Music is dead. It's dead. It used to be viewed as this beautiful art form that only creatives or highly intelligent people could make. And nowadays, music is just about sex, drugs, men talking shit about women, women talking shit about men. Music can reach parts of your brain that otherwise can't be met. And if you listen to the same music over and over again, eventually it rewires your subconscious, which dictates your life. So if we're feeding our brains all this degenerate, hateful, satanic nonsense, how do you think it's going to impact our life? I miss Prime Adele, Prime John Mayer, Prime Kanye West. These songs used to be fruitful to the soul, and now they're just damaging.
Yep, the muse is sick. Music. Do they even have instruments anymore? Auto tune, all this. No one's writing their own songs anymore, and we don't even really have musicians, right? It's just these entities, bloodline entities, no doubt, that are pushed up, right, to be stars and celebrated and worshipped, and it's just all crap. There's no depth at all to any of the music. You go back to the 60s and 70s, and there were, at least the bands, even though they were probably all Tavistock, right? At least they could still play the music, play instruments, write songs, and perform them live, right? And so it was definitely better back then, but still controlled. But the further back you go, the better it gets. It's true. And the more instruments there are, right, the further back you go until you hit, pre-reset when it was all these orchestras, right, with hundreds of musicians. And now we're down to, a pop tart with bloody voiceover and a synthesizer, you know. It's crazy. And like he said, if you listen to it over and over and over, it's the same as affirmations. You're just implanting those thoughts into your head. And this is by design. They know this. We've probably all heard the story of rap and how that was brought in, basically to, corrupt the young, right, in the black neighborhoods in America. And look what it's done. It's like all the drug use has gone up, the violence, and of course they're incarcerating them at a much higher level now. And then you learn that jails are a business. So it's all done by design, right? Just to destroy, to lower vibration, and so that they can make more money off us and control us more. But what kind of music do you listen to? Are there any Swifties out there? I hope not. But, since, the pandemic, 2020, so many bands just fell away, right? So many bands, came out and they're like, you can't come to my concert unless you've had the shot. Crazy, right? Twisted Sister did that. The ones who sang We're Not Going to Take It. Yeah, well, they had a concert and said, unless you've taken it, you can't come in. Rage Against the Machine, right? F you, I won't do what you tell me. Well, that adage, well, that changed pretty quickly when they were told what to do. So it's crazy. So there's not many bands left, right? You've got to go back to the 70s and 60s and stuff just to, find anyone who's got any ounce of ethics. But yeah, what's your favorite band? What kind of music do you listen to? And what kind of music do you think is safe? Do you think, I mean, the 60s and 70s, right? Definitely controlled as well, but not as controlled, right? Not as bad as today. Ah, crazy world, man. Crazy world.
There is only one way to find your purpose in life. It is not through astrology, human design, numerology. So the key is really asking yourself, who am I when I was a little kid? When I was pure, before society told me who I should be, who was I? When you really look at your inner child, that's your soul. There's always some hints. There's always a key within that. For me, when I was a little girl, I loved the law of attraction. I loved manifestation. When I heard the word vibration, when I heard thoughts become things, and I was only 6 years old, I was like, ooh, I remember that from a past life or something, but that's a part of my purpose. That's 100% my purpose. The path that you want is not simply given to you. You need to earn it. And that's the hard thing about this life that you've chosen to be on earth for. You need to choose to become the version that you're meant to be in order to finally find the path that is meant for you. So what's really going to determine you and your success versus 99% of other people is whether you're willing to become the best version of yourself before the path arrives. You just need to focus on you. Focus on within. Focus on who you are within you. The most loving, the most kind, the most compassionate, the most empathetic version of you. Love other people as you love yourself. Treat other people as you want to be treated. When you focus so much on healing your ego, healing the trauma, healing the subconscious limiting beliefs, you just focus on healing and cleansing and cleansing and cleansing. The path will arrive.
Cleansing, 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 right? The statue is not finished when there's nothing more to add. The statue is finished when there's nothing more to take away. Yeah. What do you think? What's your purpose? What did you want to be when you were a child? Let us know in the comments. When I was a child, I was confused. I wanted to know the answers. I wanted to know what was going on. I knew there was something wrong, something not quite right down here. And that's really been my path, for my whole life, right? And here I sit, right, doing that kind of work, doing a lot of research, putting my thoughts out there. But that's basically, this is exactly what I wanted to do when I was young. I just wanted to find the answers, right? And I'm still on that hunt. So are you doing what you want to do now? How did you find that path? Because it's not always easy. And, my path, I was married for 25 years in a job, working long hours, raised kids, and then well, it was 2020, right? When the whole world changed, my world changed a lot. And it wasn't by design. It was not something that I went out and did. It was like the universe just smacked me in the head a few times through a series of events, and that ultimately ended, put me in this position. I had a really bad car accident and couldn't do anything, but I could sit in front of a screen and talk, and so that's what I did, and that was really the birth of these channels, right? That's how I got started because I couldn't do anything else. So it's interesting how life works out. It's almost, when I look back on that time, it's almost like it was scripted, like I had no choice. The universe was like, you're not going in the right direction, and bang, bang, bang. And it definitely wasn't soft and easy, right? The messages that came through and the things that made my life change, it definitely wasn't gentle, but it changed everything, right? And definitely for the better. I enjoy my life a lot more now. I'm definitely doing what I enjoy doing. So it's interesting. So are you doing what you want to do, what you wanted to do as a child? If not, are you getting there? Right? Are you still doing the path? Because mainly we've got to do it and not listen to anyone else. And have you had an experience like mine? Have you been going along in your life, going around in circles basically, and then something happens, right? Or in my case, multiple things happen and they completely change the direction of your life. Let me know in the comments. How's it been for you?
So just a thought, right? I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now that we've been lied to. And we've been lied to about a lot of things. But the biggest thing that we've been lied to about is who we are. And instead of staying in the loop of the blame game, we all know, who's kept the secrets and whatnot. And it doesn't really matter if you don't. The truth of who you are and what they've lied about is what will set you free. And everyone talks about freedom and all this stuff, but yet they completely skip the most important part, and that is who you are, and that is an electrical being. You've been lied to about the fourth and fifth states of matter, plasma, ether being your aura, your biofield. You are an electrical being. And when you understand that, and you understand how your body actually works, everything else will make sense. Everything. That is the key. They don't care that you know about the kids. They don't care that you know that they are fucking doing what they're doing. As long as you don't take your power back. Are they really in control? Because when you take your power back, they're not. So yeah, when you truly understand that the lie, the biggest lie, is who you are and what you're made of and how you can manipulate that, that is when you become free. Einstein, full of shit. And, I'll get the ones on here that, yeah, that's fine, keep believing it. But when you truly want to be free, you can take your power back, stop doing the blame game. We all know Freemasons, we all know who they are. It's not getting you anywhere, except for in a loop. And you're going to go round and round and round until you decide to take your power back. And that is to truly learn the secrets of who you are. We're literally batteries. And they are siphoning the energy. And that includes even outing them and continuously making the same shit. It's the Freemasons. Yes, yes, yes. We know. You're literally a battery. And then when you get that, you will understand everything else, including the Wi-Fi, including all of that shit. It'll all make sense. You need to understand who you are and how your body actually works. Because what you're getting are half-truths. Even in the spiritual community. Let's be honest. Call a spade a spade. You're giving people half-truths. You're not giving them the full, this love and light, all well and good. But that's, no. It's not. To be in love and light all the time is not how you're supposed to be. We weren't given emotions for you to suppress them, because when you suppress these emotions, you cause disease in your body. So the whole spiritual bullshit of love and light only, you're causing, it's another religion, to be quite honest with you. People need to start taking their power back and start learning the truth yourself. Don't rely on other people. Because when you start doing that, you'll realise, yeah, you are actually in control of this. You know, it goes deep. When you realise that you're capable of doing all these things, you'll stop paying. Don't pay people to, you know, stop looking outside of yourself. You're quite capable of doing it on your own. You just need to learn how your body works. And when you learn how your body works, you can do that for free. The spiritual community, yeah, not giving full truths, but yet sitting there, all the Freemasons do it, but you're doing the same thing. You're doing exactly the same thing. Give them people the full truth, so then they can heal their bodies, because we are capable of healing our own bodies. Once you realise that we are electric beings, and you look at yourself like a phone. You don't let your phone run to 2% and just, we're batteries. We literally are electrical beings that hold power. And when you can wrap your head around that and dive into that and understand it, things will change for you. Like I said, there's a lot of half-truths going on. Not just in the spiritual community, but, you know, don't call out other people if you're not willing to give full truth yourself, is what I'm trying to say. And also in saying that, when you look at yourself as an electrical being, because that's what you are, and you look more into plasma and electricity and how it works and how the body actually works, not what we're taught, you will soon see the truth. And stop with the blame game and the victimhood, because at any moment you are capable of making that change, and you don't have to pay people to do that. You can do it yourself, and that is the biggest secret that they don't want you to know. And like I said, the spiritual community, this whole love and light only, you're setting people up to fail. And some of these people know it. Don't do it. You hear, you reckon you're chosen? Well, then choose to do the right thing.
Controversial. I mean, I agree totally with everything she just said. I really do. It's interesting, all these love and light, spiritual people. Look at their lives. Look at their lives. They go around, saying, "Oh my God, I'm so spiritual." And they've got this big act on, but most of their lives are falling apart, right? Unless there's someone who's got a big platform, and then they just sell you stuff and make money. It doesn't mean they're happy though. But I mean, ultimately, the power's in you. Like she said, no one else can do anything for you. They can't. No matter how much you want it. And it's an interesting lesson that I learned. I used to want people to help. Oh my God, there's so much going on. I just need, why can't someone help me get all this stuff sorted? And then I came to understand that no one can help, because no one wants to. Everyone's got their own life. Everyone is living their own life. So how dare any of us expect someone to give up their life to come and help us grow our life? I mean, talk about coming from a place of non-empowerment. I was definitely there. But when you change your view and you're like, right, well, I can do it and I will do it. I don't know how to do it, but I'm doing it anyway. Then the help come. It just literally people just manifest out of the ether. It's crazy, right? Because we get what we deserve, not what we want, right? And deserve is an interesting word, right? To deserve, you've got to stop serving something like your ego to deserve it, right? You've got to stop serving the poor little you, poor little me inside you, right? That I'm a victim. And then with the research and it's the Jews, it's the Masons, it's the them. Well, yes, we can see that there's a group of people that are doing this, but there's a difference between seeing that and recognizing a problem that needs to be sorted out to being a victim. I'm like, poor little me. It's just the Jews. I can't do anything. It's just the Freemasons. Oh, they stole everything. Well, that's not going to help you. It's not going to help. People. And like I said, so many people are out there saying they know the truth. If someone tells you they know the truth, turn around and run because they don't. They're going to lead you down the garden path and probably take things from you that you don't want to give, right? Like your soul, like your money, like your self-esteem. We've got to work these things out for ourselves. We've got to be autodidactic, right? We've got to be self-educated. That's what this whole thing is about. And that's why I pretty much do everything I do. All I really want with all the work I do is to get people to ask better questions to themselves. That's it. That's really it. If you can ask better questions, you're going to get better thoughts, you're going to take better actions, and you're going to get better results. And even if it's not better, it's going to be different, which is better, right? Because it's going to be a change. And understand there's no mistakes. Mistakes, that's a spell. It's a mistake, like they do in the movies. Take one, take two, right? So if you fail, it's just that's a mistake. What did I learn? What's my takeaway? I learned how not to do it. Do it again, right? With more knowledge and keep doing that until you get where you are. And, things don't come overnight. There is no overnight success. It doesn't exist. It's another lie, right? To keep people in the trap and keep people grinding, right? But let me know your thoughts on all this. Because, the truther community, and I really don't like labels, but, the truther community has issues, man, has issues. And, I probably see it more than most people because I put content out and I see, I see the reaction from a lot of people. I still trigger a lot of people. A lot of people are triggered out there. We put up a podcast, Tartara Australia, about 3 weeks ago now, and we talked about simulation theory. And some people are right into simulation theory and I'm not. And oh my God, did it trigger people? And they spend all this time coming on and posting all their hateful comments, thinking it's going to do something. And these are the people who, when you talk to them, they'll say, "I'm against censorship. I want freedom of speech. I'm against government overreach." But as soon as you say something they don't like, they want to censor you, right? So the truther community is not full of truthers. It's really most people in it are full of themselves, right? Is what's going on. They're full of shit, right? They're confused. They're looking for an answer, and they grab onto stuff and judge that as the truth. And of course, once you judge something as the truth, as good, or good or bad, right or wrong, then you can no longer think about that, right? You can no longer get any information because you've decided that you understand and you know the truth. So if you know something is true, why would you ever look at information that could say that it's not true? It's a trap. It's a trap. We've got to keep our minds open, question everything, and don't follow gurus. Be your own guru, right? Guru, Guru. That's what it is. And I could go on about this topic for hours. I really could. And I do sometimes. We're having a show, Tartaria Australia. We're doing 6 live shows, actually 7 live shows this year. The first one is in Rockhampton in Queensland. I'll leave the link below. Come, if you're up in that area, come along and say hello. Come and check out the show. It's all day, and it's basically myself and Kelly up on stage talking and talking about our thoughts on things. It's all about the invasion, what may have happened, but the real invasion is the invasion of our thoughts and our minds, and that's how they control us, right? I'm also going to Crete and Greece on a tour, and we are taking limited seats. But we're taking some people with us, and it's going to be the Goddess tour. So we're going to go and check out all the goddess sites, right? The old world, right? Of course, Athens is named for Athena, the goddess. So I'll leave that link below too. Go and check it out if you're interested in coming. But most of all, thanks for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, please leave me a like, share it around, hype it up. Thanks for everyone who's been hyping. I did see some comments saying that hype isn't enabled or something, so I need to look into that. But I've just been extremely busy this week getting the show together for Rockhampton. But I will look into that. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. And most importantly, stay awesome and stay open-minded and stay you. Right? Don't let other people trick you, fool you, or just, make you believe that they know more than you, that they're more correct. No one can know more about you than you. Even if other people are correct for themselves, that doesn't make it right for you. They've only found the answer for themselves. Right? This is an inner game, right? The way out is in. But I'm rambling. So yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Stay awesome, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Jameson. No, it's not. It's... You like the... Oh! Scout, you better move.